kind of you. Thanks very much. I thought Pete and I are neighbours in the basin, so we decided to split the talk a little bit amongst geology and uranium. So I'll talk a little bit more on uranium, but there will be a bit of geology in there as well. You've all read that? Yes? Stick your hands up. Yep, good, thank you. A little investment snapshot. We listed about a year ago, highly experienced team. You'll see in the next slide. We're very much focused on relationships with the First Nations. We're a little further north, and unless you have good relationships with those people, you won't be able to explore or develop anything that you do find. We're in the Athabasca, we've just spoken about. It really is a premier region of the world, particularly for high-grade uranium deposits, which is what we've focused on. We finished our first deep diamond drill hole. It was 1,080 metres, which is significant depth. We did find signs of uranium, and we confirmed that we can actually do it. And significant creation of value, and we'll go on to this a little bit more, not only through our own projects and discovery on those, but through partnerships that we're developing actively right now. Some I can talk about, some I can't. Corporate snapshot, T92, very tight share structure. We've only got 64 million shares on issue and a few options. Market cap sitting at the moment around 8.5 million. We're well funded at the present time right through till middle of next year. Myself, obviously, Executive Chairman. Doug Engdahl was one of the founders of the company as well. Doug runs Axiom Contracting, which is one of the largest geological and geophysical contractors based in Saskatoon. And Dr. Kylie Prendergast, who's head of the conference as well, non-executive director and a world-class explorationist in various commodities. Our team's headed up by Mike McClelland, also ex-Cameco, looked after the Eastern Athabasca stuff for quite a number of years. Mike is based in Saskatoon, and that's our corporate offices in Saskatoon. We're based in Canada. We put our money into the ground. Osaka Martin and Jules Grove look after the corporate side here in Australia, and then Jennifer Kyle and Dr. Tom Kotzer, who's one of the world-class experts, particularly on unconformity uranium deposits. Little note, bottom left corner there, 73% of our expenditure over the last year has been in the ground in exploration, which is pretty good for a small junior company just starting out. Well, I mentioned First Nations again. You'll see a lot of people, not those present here, but a lot of people say that they have access to explore anywhere in the Athabasca. It's not the case. You have to engage with the First Nations people. Treaty 10, everybody in Australia talks about treaties. We've got one in Canada. We operate under it. It gives them very definite rights, but we work together very closely. And the key, and as Pete knows as well, in our previous company, Alligator, you have to start at day one. You engage with the people who live there, and you bring them along with you. If you do that, you'll have great success. The uranium market, a little bit on uranium, and I guess as investors you'd be interested in this. That nice little spike there when it got to $135 back around 2007. That was very short-lived, and you can see the rise in that market was very, very steep and very short-lived. The current rise, which started back 3 years ago, much more strategic, much gentler rise, and much more sustained. There have been a couple of pullbacks there, not major ones, and $75, as you can see that previous peak there in 2011, that's a major resistance level. So once we get above $75, who knows what the level is after that. My personal opinion, and I've said this in other markets before, I expect the spot price to settle at around $150. $75 is not the replacement price. You will not get a new mine being developed with uranium prices around what they are now. There's major supply restrictions. The uranium market globally is changing very, very quickly. Kazakhstan, which was the largest producer, is no longer exporting to the West. There's major global shifts going on, and that uranium is now going to Russia, China, or India. It's not coming to the West. So there's a major shift going on and a big focus on production coming out of North America, which includes Canada, of course, and Australia also. And Australia will be, is a major uranium producer. We will have nuclear power, I've no doubt about that. It's coming. It may take our politicians a while to realise what's happening in their own country, but it will come. And inventories are at the lowest level they've been for a long time, particularly with Sprott Uranium Trust coming into the market and soaking up spot uranium. There is no spot uranium. There were deals being done last night at $74.50 a pound, and that's for delivery in 3 years' time. Spot is not delivery today. Spot is out 3 months to 3 years. So this is a long-term market. Okay, and if you want to talk a bit about uranium markets, I'm passionate about it. It's going to become a base load supplier of power all over the world. I don't know if it'll be major as in what's happening in France and has done for a long time, but it'll certainly be 15 to 20% of the global market. And we don't have the uranium available to supply it. It was coming out of breakdown of nuclear weapons. That's stopped. It's going to be going the other way. There's just not supply around, and we need prices north of $100 a pound to bring that new supply on. Okay, quick bit on strategies. Pete talked about that earlier. We're exploring at depth, so we're looking at down 800 to 1,000 metres at the unconformity style deposits, and a quick list there from top to bottom of the methods, the scientific methods that we use to explore for these deposits. Geochemistry, VTEM, which is an electrical method, ANT, which is a physical passive seismic, which was started in Australia. We were the first to take it to Canada. Historical geophysics, very valuable, structural analysis, and ZTEM, which is your deep seeking EM. These all have to be stacked, which is why we show them in the diagram here. They all have to be stacked together, and we're targeting this major unconformity and just above, because that's where you get the bonanza grades. We're sitting a little bit further west along the Cable Bay Shear Zone, a well-known zone but was considered a little bit too deep to be exploited. We've gone in there and pegged that ground from scratch and worked up from very old 30, 40-year-old data over the last year, bringing all that data up to date. We now have 18 drill-ready targets. Big question is, how do we drill them? So the bottom note there is that we're out there now actively looking for JV partners. So we've decided as a 10 million market cap company, it's very hard to raise $10 or $15 million for a drill program. We have a lot of interest, particularly coming out of Europe and the Middle East, to partner with us looking for those projects. That's, I think, a little area that we stand out from some of the others. We'll do all the science, we'll develop the targets, and then we'll bring in the partners who will directly fund that drilling for equity in those projects. There's a lot of interest in that sort of model, and it's different to what people are used to. It's probably closer to the oil and gas model, where people tend to work in syndicates, and one leads and the others invest. Quick note on our projects. Passfield was our original core project. I'm running out of time on this, but if you want to go through those in detail, we do have cross sections and geological detail. I can go into these. A lot of science and a lot of heavy work. All these photographs in the background, by the way, they're all from our field program last winter. These are our guys on the field. And it's hard working out where we are. We're a little more remote. Parker, where we drilled our first hole, the first hole within 20 kilometres either side of us, proved that the Cable Bay was a real structure and it's got uranium in it. And those red lines are 25 kilometres of conductors in the basement. But remembering we're 800 to 1,000 metres down. Parker, that's that first drill hole. You can see those nice little spikes at the unconformity. There's definitely uranium down there. Hawk Rock, which is our shallowest and most northerly project. It's an interesting one, a little bit intriguing, but a lot cheaper to test. But this is an area where we're talking about First Nations. They don't want us putting roads in here. So everything we do in here will have to be helicopter supported. A quick investment summary. We might go through that in a bit of detail on the booth, but this is a company that's transforming and developing very, very quickly into hopefully what we're looking at doing, which is discovering one of the next major deposits. I talk a little bit in a lot of our presentations about where you get the biggest uplift in value, and that occurs pre-discovery. As an investor, there's only two places where you really make money. That's when a company like ours finds something, or when a major project is brought into production. That little slippery dip in the middle, unfortunately, is development projects where you tend to lose money. But if you hang in long enough, it will come back. And a bit similar to Pete's earlier slide, they're the types of deposits we're targeting. These are the deposits are in 15 to 20% uranium. There's nothing else like it in the world. This is an exceptional part of the world to invest, and we strongly suggest that you follow our companies. Thank you very much.